Brambilla only won one Grand Prix, the Austrian. He won it in the wet. A good wet weather driver, although he does tend to fling it down the road every so often. Of course, when he won the Austrian Grand Prix, he spun off as he waved to the checkered flag and crashed. An amazing race that was, just over a year ago. And he's trying to drive inside James Hunt. Hunt cuts across the orange March nose. Hunt's not having that at all. Get back, Vittorio, you say. But this time there's no getting back. But is he going straight on? And he's spinning. He's missed Hunt that. What an incredible spin. And he's still back in the race. Got first gear very quickly. I bet James Hunt's very glad to see that happen in his mirrors and not right in front of him. That almost took James Hunt out of the race and out of the World Championship. But no, Hunt is in the lead. Brambilla dropped a couple of places. There's Jochen Mass, Hunt's teammate. Went through a bad patch in the middle of the season, but came back strongly when there were suggestions that you may be leaving the team, Jochen. Get on with it, and that's exactly what he's done in the last 4 races. Jochen Mass backing up James Hunt, and there he is, now up to second place. Jochen Mass, the German, lapping Harold Oertel. Oertel in the Hesketh, one of the men, of course, who helped save Niki Lauda's life in Germany. An Austrian journalist. Races in Formula 2, made his name in saloon cars, in fact. And there he is, sandwiched between the two McLarens. Oertel, one of the men who's bought a ride, doesn't get paid for racing, he actually pays for the privilege. With Hunter Mass, now while Mass is second, that's a good place for the Tyrrellton to be in. Hunt first, Mass second. Now Oertel following the two McLarens. And here's the Surtees, one normally driven by Brett Longer, the Surtees of Noritaki Takahara. And there's Brambilla, third. Fourth is Andretti. But the two McLarens in the lead, Hunt first and Mass in second place.
So with those two McLarens out in front, no real imminent danger to James Hunt. We'll take a very short break and return to the race and to Andrew Marriott's commentary in just a moment from now.
Story, 31 laps of the 73 run. First 11 Hunt, second number 12 Mass. Third to Paye, fourth Brambilla, fifth Andretti and sixth Watson. Watson who spun off early but is back in the race. But it's James Hunt in the lead. Surrey driver now lives in Spain, followed by the German driver Jochen Mass, former merchant seaman, comes from Cologne. Now it looks as if they're about to overtake Mario Andretti, who's running strongly. This pair really run through the field, a lot of retirements, a lot of cars dropped out. And the two McLarens running in fine convoy there. There's Gunnar Nilsson, not Andretti. Gunnar Nilsson they're about to lap. The young Swedish recruit to the Lotus team, lying about 8th overall. Oh, and look at Mass. Mass has had an accident. Look at those sparks. Jochen Mass in real trouble. So it isn't a McLaren 1-2 anymore. Jochen Mass is going to have a bit of explaining to do when he gets back to the pits. Seemingly lost control on the fast right-hander. Crunched into the Armco barrier, ran all along it, and there, well, the picture tells the story, doesn't it? That right front wheel crumpled back at 90 degrees. Mass walks away, his pit's looking out for him. That's young Steve Bunny's mechanic. But the yellow flag to warn other drivers, there's a car partially blocking the track, not actually on the racing line, thankfully. Difficult to remove that car with one wheel bent back like that. James Hunt in the lead. That's one thing James Hunt doesn't want to do. He possibly saw that happen in his mirror. His pit's in the inset there, and there's about to catch Alan Jones. And he's waving now. He's either waving to the pits or to Alan Jones. I don't think he's close enough to Alan Jones to wave him out of the way. His pits are probably waving a tyre at him to say, do you want to come in? Do you want to fit slick racing tyres? Because this circuit here at Fuji is drying out. And he's waving to them saying, no, I'm happy at the moment. Those front tyres are only about 2 feet in front of me. And I can see what they're doing. Hunt will not only be looking at the racetrack, he'll be looking at the tyres, looking in his mirrors, the rear tyres to check their condition, and looking at the front tyres. It's the front tyres that are likely to go off. What happens is these racing tyres, which are grooved, not like the Racing 6, they've got big grooves in them. When the circuit dries out, they overheat, and then lumps of rubber start to fly off. Now, Hunt will notice that. He'll have lumps of hot, sticky rubber whistling past his ear, and he'll know when to come in. Hunt, a master tactician at this sort of thing, in fact. Hunt, of course, won his very first Grand Prix, the only Grand Prix he won for the Hesketh team, the Dutch Grand Prix, a couple of years ago, by making a technical pit stop. And similar conditions to this. It was wet, then it dried out. Hunt chose just the right time to come into the pits, and later he fought off a determined challenge from Lauda. First time the pair really knuckled up to each other. This season they've been knuckling up to each other all season. Well, not in this race, because Niki Lauda retired on the second lap when we hear it was because he thought conditions were just simply too bad to carry on. A couple of other drivers, Carlos Pache, agreed with him, but James Hunt didn't. James Hunt continued to race. That's what he's paid to do, and that's what he's doing. And there's somebody stopped. Looks as if the engine's blown up. Hans Binder, the Austrian, young Austrian, having only his second Grand Prix. That's the second Williams car. We saw the other one at Mazzario come into the pits. Young Binder, normally seen in Formula 2, and he's definitely out of the race. In fact, he just sneaked in on the back of the grid on the last position, and 25th position. A special concession was made to let him get into the race. We need some sort of special concession, some sort of concession to push the car off the track right now, but it's not in anybody's way. And there is Alan Jones in that controversial Surtees, and Hunt not closing on Alan Jones. I would have thought Hunt would have got by Alan Jones by now. In fact, he seems to be dropping back. There's the Williams. Looks as if it had a little fire, in fact. But Hunt, car number 11. Next year, if he wins this championship, that car will carry number 1. But at the moment, it's car number 11. And there is Patrick Depailler, car number 4, the blue 6-wheel Tyrrell. And that nasty right-hand corner off the main straight. The main straight goes onto a banked section, which they aren't using, so the cars funnel off the track, then take a long, fast left, then a sweeping right into a left hairpin, and then a long, long, long right-hander. That's the 2.71 mile Mount Fuji track, never before used for a World Championship event, but it appears to be a very good track here, apart from this horrible weather. Very good organisation here in Japan. They've done everything they can, really put themselves out. Hunt choosing his line. You can see the drying line there, but Depailler closing on him. Patrick Depailler never won a Grand Prix. There's Gunnar Nielsen. Depailler from Clermont-Ferrand, central France. Learned to race round the local Clermont-Ferrand track on a moped, believe it or not. Patrick Depailler, 31 years old, married, has never won a Grand Prix, has led them, has finished in second place on 4 separate occasions, and has never taken the victor's laurels. Maybe he thinks that today, here in Japan, at the end of the season, he has a chance. It wouldn't stop James Hunt winning the World Championship. And something flew off Hunt's car there. I think that was a bit of tyre tread. You may just have got in your picture something shooting up. One can't see it by scrutinising that car closely there, but maybe Hunt's in tyre trouble. We'll have to wait and see. Certainly he isn't closing on Alan Jones. Alan Jones in the Durex Surtees has pulled away from him.